All right. Hello, everyone, and happy Halloween. I am recording this class a day earlier and releasing it because it's Halloween and I'm going to be spending time with the kids going out trick or treating. So I still wanted to get you some sort of class that you can watch. So here we are. And that's why it's not live. That's why it's pre recorded because of the holiday, I guess, if we want to call it that. But anyway, happy Monday if you're watching this today, Monday, Halloween. Happy whatever other day it is if you're watching it some other day. But as always, super excited to be here, super excited to share some teachings with you guys this evening. And what's kind of been coming up for me is the story of Milarepa and the Cave of Demons. Milarepa was I don't really remember the history on him, but he was a Buddhist monk from a long time ago. Supposedly, he lived in a cave, staring at a wall for 9 years, and this story happened sometime within those 9 years. And again, you'll see. I don't think it's something that really happened, but it really points to some truths about our experience. So it's not necessarily true in a factual sense, but it's true in a sense of, you know, this is telling me something about my life, about my humanity. It's telling me a truth of what it means to be human. So Milarepa was in his cave and he went off to gather firewood one day, and he came back and his cave was full of demons. So he first goes in there and he tries teaching them about compassion, about meditation. It's called the Dharma, right? The teachings. But he has this hidden intention. Like, I want to teach them so that they get out. So, of course, the demons realize that he's trying to get rid of them. So they just laugh. They get bigger. They get more angry and more ugly. And of course, this makes Milarepa frustrated because they're not leaving. So he starts to get mad and he picks up one of the logs that he gathered and he chases after them, trying to hit them, trying to get them out. And of course, they run around and they're laughing and they get bigger and scarier, still not going anywhere. So then Milarepa has an idea. He says, all right, you guys aren't going anywhere. And this is my cave, so I'm not going anywhere. So he tells them, you guys can just stay. I'm going to go back to doing my thing, staring at this wall in meditation. And with that, all of them except one disappeared. And this was the most ferocious, scariest looking one. So Milarepa stands up. He goes right up to the demon. He opens the demon's mouth and sticks his head inside and said, well, if you're going to eat me, then just eat me. And with that, poof, the final demon went away. Now, again, are there really demons flying around in a cave somewhere? Probably not. Um, I guess it's possible, but I don't think that's the essence of the story. Did this really happen or not? And really, any religious story, any mythological story, again, don't worry about whether it's true factually, because what we're trying to get from that story is how is it true in my life, and in any of these stories, you're all the characters, you know and you learn from all the different characters. But in this story, I guess we are Milarepa, and the cave is our own bodies and minds, and of course the demons are our suffering, our unwholesome habits, the unskillful moods, the our inner demons, basically. I mean, it's Pretty straightforward analogy that here are the inner demons. And then what do we do with them? Now, before I get to what Milarepa did and the practice, of working with them, I want to read something that I wrote the other day. If you're on my Instagram or Facebook, I try to post things, but I felt pretty inspired by something I had read. I don't remember exactly. Here it is. So the word demon came from the ancient word daimon, which means guiding spirit. Perhaps our own inner demons are not negative, evil entities we must exorcise, but rather wise guides pointing us to where we need healing, pointing us to the place where it hurts the most. So interesting that the word demon somehow got demonized, right? How it used to mean more along the lines, something along the lines of a spirit guide. And I find that to be so interesting. And as that little quote of mine says, perhaps these things don't need to go away. And perhaps we're thinking about this all wrong. So let's go back to Milarepa now, because he kind of falls into the same trap as us. First, he tries like convincing them, like, oh, like, let me teach you about meditation, let me teach you about compassion, but there's a hint of aversion in there. I want to do this in order to get rid of you, to not feel you, to not have to deal with you anymore. And so much of what we do, whether it be meditation or spirituality or religion or even therapy or reading books or self-help or whatever it might be, it's like we're like negotiating. It's like, I'll do this in order to get rid of this, and that's like the hidden aversion in there, the hidden self-hatred, the hidden fear, whatever it is. That's what's driving the behavior. I know for me, when I first started meditation, it was my aversion towards the things I didn't like about myself that really drove me to do my practice, because I was hoping, if I just meditate enough, if I just meet the right teacher, if I just jump through the right hoops, do enough therapy, then this stuff will go away, and I won't have to deal with it anymore. I don't like this. I don't want it to be here. Let me do this in order to get rid of that. And it's called the in order to mind, So the intentions are not pure, which means the practice itself would not be pure, because there's some hidden agenda. And this is really hard to get people to understand. Some people can get it, and some people have to go through a lot of years of not getting it before it finally clicks. Like, oh, I know some people that can just really appreciate what I'm saying. And then there are other people that, well, that's not for me, because they still think that there's something out there that's going to save them, that's going to magically get rid of the things that they don't like. So this is what Milarepa was doing in the beginning. Let me do all of these things so that you guys go away and I can go back to my peaceful life, right? It's like, I just want to go back to the time where anxiety wasn't here, or where I didn't have this habitual craving, or this, grief or depression or anxiety. Again, whatever your inner demon is. So you have this peaceful cave, you're going through your day, things are fine, and then boom, there's that inner demon. So we want to be careful and we want to be mindful of that. And that's a whole other direction. Why am I sitting? Why am I doing this practice? Why am I showing up for these classes? What am I hoping to get? Is it realistic? Can we just have the pure intention to practice for the sake of practice? And that, honestly, that's very advanced. As simple as it is, just meditate to meditate. Do it for nothing else except for doing it. And I feel like that's when, you know, things really start to change when you stop trying to get something out of the practice, when you stop trying to get rid of something in your life, when you can just do it, just show up and do it, show up and pay attention and see clearly and just do it. But again, that's another topic. So then what does Miller-Ape do next? Next, he tries to chase him out. You know, and sometimes we do this. We just, you know, get so frustrated and we just try to somehow exercise, not exercise, but exercise with an O, the demons out. We get mad at them. We yell at them. We add all kinds of anger and aversion and hatred. But that doesn't work either. Now, one thing Miller-Ape didn't do that many of us do is try to numb out so that we don't have to experience that, or we don't have to actually be there fully and consciously to experience the demon. So you could imagine if he took some drugs and then went back to the cave where it didn't matter that they were there because he wasn't even conscious enough to pay attention. Another thing we try to do that Miller-Ape didn't do is to try to shove it down. So imagine Miller-Ape just pushing all the demons into the closet, shutting the door. Meanwhile, they're multiplying and growing and getting bigger and bigger until finally the whole door explodes and there's even more of them. Again, that's another thing that we try to do. Pretend like it's fine. Pretend like they're not there. Keep pushing them down, depressing down, right? Think of that word, to depress, to push down. What happens when we push down our authentic selves or the messengers, the spirit guides of our heart and mind? When we keep pushing them down, it'll come out physically. It'll come out in a big breakdown or emotional explosion. So clearly, that's not the way either. And it really wasn't until Miller-Ape realized and had that little insight, that little moment of wisdom that said, huh, you guys aren't going anywhere. That's when things were beginning to change. That's when transformation was able to start happening. So this is how it is in our life. It's like we're fighting so hard to not feel what we're feeling. We're trying even harder to feel some other way and maintain that pleasant feeling. And it's just this constant game of holding on and fending off and pushing away and suppressing and depressing, and a lot of energy just to not experience certain things. And just like Miller-Ape, chasing them around, doing this, doing that, wasting a lot of energy when he could just say, you know what? You guys can live in this cave too. You can be here too. And it would be nice if we just said to our anxiety, well, you could be here too. And it just poof, disappeared. So this is where the analogy is a little bit limited. But the practice is in there. The practice of saying, you can be here. Sometimes it feels this way. Let's get to know each other. And let's sit together. I'm going to sit in this cave and you can sit with me too. Let's sit together. Let's share this space together. And that's such a radically different way of approaching it. And I know for me, that was the most powerful thing when I finally just said, you know what, this is it. This is it. And here are the visitors. Here are my demons that come to visit me as they please. They're not going anywhere. So they can just be there. And that's like, I remember that it was almost like immediate relief when I could just say, oh, you could be here too. Because I wasn't fighting it. I wasn't struggling anymore. There wasn't any resistance. There was curiosity. There was receptiveness. There was wonder, beginner's mind, a willingness to feel bad, a willingness to feel uncomfortable, and an acknowledgement that feeling uncomfortable is actually part of life. It's all part of the story. Not just feel good, be happy all the time. But that's how our society kind of portrays it to us. If you buy this, you will be happy forever. If you meet this person, you'll live happily ever after. If you become famous, everything will be easier and you'll live happily ever. We have this happily ever after syndrome. I actually did a lecture once called Unhappily Ever After, just because I like doing stuff like that. I like really poking at people's delusions. But it's not real life. It's not real life. Real life is messy. Real life has daily demon visitors that come, stronger at different points in our lives, maybe, especially after certain traumatic events or re-triggering or triggering traumatic events in our mind. But they're here to stay. And I think the first step is to stop fighting. I think what that story shows is the first step is to say, okay, I experience a lot of anxiety every day. Anxiety, you can be here too. I'm letting you be here from now. Because clearly you don't care whether I want you here or not. You show up. So come on up. Come sit with me. Come to work with me. Let's go eat together. Let's go for a walk together. Let's go to the gym together. That's the kind of friendliness, that unconditional friendliness that we want to bring to our so-called demons, the things that we would consider suffering, the things that make our lives hard and make our lives more difficult than we think it should, or we think they should. So then what does he do next? So he takes it a step further and he finds the scariest of all of them, opens its mouth and sticks his head right inside. Well, if you're going to eat me, then just go ahead and eat me. And that's like the ultimate act of surrender. So first you're allowing the inner demons to be there, but then you surrender completely to them. And I don't mean surrender to their will. It's not like they possess you and you just surrender to them and then you let them do whatever they want through your body and your speech, your actions. But you surrender to the way the demons feel in your body. And that is always the instruction when dealing with a form of suffering is, where does this live in your body? And can you clearly see it? Can you be willing to feel it? Can you soften with it? Can you relax with it? And it's, in a sense, it's like sticking your head inside the demon's mouth. Because normally we don't want to do that. We think we're going to get swallowed up. I don't want to surrender to that. What happens if I just get, swallowed? I'll tell you what, you'd be the first person to vanish from an emotion swallowing them. But yeah, to have the courage to be that intimate with our inner demons that we're willing to let them be there and we're willing to feel the fullness of the pain, of the discomfort, of the fear, of the grief, of the anger, whatever it might be. So we allow, and then we feel. I'm trying to remember, I came up with a really stupid acronym Um, I think it was N.A.R.F.I.K. 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 I could not I could not make something out of it. I couldn't make it like a cool word that made sense. But so this is like the process that I try to do when I'm feeling something. So the N stands for notice. First, you got to realize you've been triggered. So many of us are just so unconscious and just living our trauma, living our habits, our reactions, that we don't even realize that they're happening. It's just like we are possessed, and it's just the possessions are living through us. So first, we have to notice, ooh, this is here. All right. Then we have to allow. So if it's, let's just use anxiety, it's a common one. So we get triggered by something and we notice, ooh, anxiety's arising. And notice how I'm saying that, because that's important. I'm not saying I'm anxious. I'm not saying, well, yeah, I'm not saying I'm anxious. I'm saying anxiety's arising. Very different way of relating to it. I'm anxious. You're identified as it. You're calling yourself that changing condition, rather than just saying, hey, this is something happening that I'm aware of. Just like a cloudy day. I can be aware of a cloudy day. It's just something happening. But I don't say I'm cloudy, right? It's something I'm aware of. I'm raining, I'm cloudy, I'm windy. We don't say that. But for some reason, with the changing conditions of our bodies and minds, we take it so personally and we say, I'm anxious, I'm worried, I'm thinking too much, but that's extra. The I am is extra. It's just something happening that we're aware of. So very important. So first we notice, then we allow, then we relax. So in that sense of allowing, or in that phase of allowing, we then just get ourselves to soften what we can. Deepen the breathing if that's possible. Relax the jaw, drop the shoulders. Anything that you can soften, so you soften. Anything you can relax, you relax. So that's the R. Then the F is feel. So you notice, you allow, you start to relax, then you feel it. Where does it live in your body? Bring your awareness to that place and feel it. Learn to stay with that feeling. Then it goes to the I, investigate. Really, while you're feeling it, look at it. And I know it's weird, you're not really looking with your eyes, but look at this experience, learn about it. How intense can it get before it starts going the other way? How long does it last? I mean, you could go endlessly in investigating. I don't know why I said it like investigating. You can endlessly investigate. You know what it is? It's weird talking to a computer. I like seeing real people's faces. It's just so weird. I'm in my room and talking to myself. I'm looking at myself right now. Um, so anyway, so investigate. Then the K is kindness, or it can be C for compassion. But then we want to open our awareness and remind ourselves that there's other people feeling this right now. We let our hearts open. There are people suffering just like me. And you allow it to show, one, how it's nothing personal. It feels personal, but it's nothing personal. This is just an experience of being human. There are millions of others right now feeling just like you. And you let that open your heart enough so that you can send out a wish of loving kindness. May myself and may all beings find ease in our hearts. May myself and all beings be free from anxiety in this moment. And I like this other dimension, which is more Tonglen, which is another Tibetan practice, which we've gone over before, but I'm not going over it now. But basically, you are feeling this feeling so that everyone else can be free from it. So when you breathe in, it's almost like I'm willing to breathe all the anxiety in and I'm willing to feel it. And then on the exhale, I send out the relief. So I'm freeing people from suffering by breathing in my own and essentially imagining that I'm breathing in all of theirs as well. That can be a little extreme if you're having trouble just with your own stuff, but it's a really nice practice. And again, neurons that fire together, wire together. So if you're, cultivating compassion and thinking of others and sending out wishes of loving kindness, every time you experience suffering, well, that is going to cause those two things to trigger together. And that's going to be second nature. So when you feel suffering, it's just I'm going to want to reach out. And then when you experience suffering in other people, you're naturally going to want to reach out because you're programming your mind that. So it really makes a huge difference how you relate to your life, to your thoughts, to this moment. So that's N.A.R.F.I.K. It's such a bad word, N.A.R.F.I.K. N.A.R.F.I.K. But hey, it works. Really want you guys to try it out. And so moving on from N.A.R.F.I.K. to what I was saying before in that little quote that I think is so important is to start reframing how you look at your suffering. So when you're going through your day and you're triggered, somebody pisses you off and you start to feel angry, you see somebody, getting something that you want and you feel jealous. You walk by a bar and you're an alcoholic and you feel that addictive craving arising or whatever it is. I want you to look at what's arising, not as an inner demon, but as a guide. Because a lot of our neurotic patterns have their roots in pain, have their roots in trauma, have their roots in loneliness, or usually it's from the first couple years of life, how we survive our household. And not that we had terrible parents or anything, some people did, but not everybody. But, just the way society's set up now, both parents have to work. So what does a little young child think when their parents are gone? I'm being abandoned. Nobody loves me. I'm not good enough. Like, so we can overthink things when we're younger, and basically it's always my fault. So if our parents fought a lot, the kid takes on that responsibility. Well, it's because of me. If one parent leaves, it's because of me. um, it's just a very natural, like, survival, I don't know, technique or something that we do. And I don't know why, but it seems that it's much easier to blame ourselves when we're younger than it is to blame our parents for just being neurotic or depressed or unavailable or whatnot. For whatever reason, it's easier for a child to say, well, something I did. So, anyway, the point being, we don't have to have this super traumatic childhood to have some pretty neurotic patterns. That's what I'm trying to say. So those patterns are really important. And I'm going to read one more thing. This is from Gabor Mate, The Myth of Normal, the book that I've been talking about a lot. He says, it has been transformative for me to realize that my own mental health issues carry genuine meanings that arose from my life within my family of origin in a particular historical context. I have found the same to be true universally, no matter where I look, whose mental illness I consider, or indeed how extreme the condition happens to be. If anything, the more flagrant ones are easier to decode. When examined, the manifestations of all the various mental health diagnoses have meaning, from depression through what is called schizophrenia to attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, from troubled eating patterns to self-cutting. So he's saying that our inner demons have meaning and they're coming from a very particular historical context. So like we can kind of decode our inner demons to figure out where does it hurt and to go to that space, to go to that place of pain, of anger, of longing, of loneliness, and to really allow ourselves to feel that consciously as an adult. So I hope this really helps, because this has been amazing for me to just have that different view. And sometimes just having a different perception can change everything. If I have the perception life is not supposed to be unpleasant or uncomfortable, every time that I experience something unpleasant or uncomfortable, I'm going to suffer that much more because I think it's wrong, because I believe that it's not supposed to happen. And I'm going to fight it, and I'm going to resist it, and I'm going to try to desperately hold on to something that makes me not feel that. But if I have the perception or the understanding, suffering's a part of life. Aging's a part of life. Death is a part of life. Impermanence, loss, grief, anxiety, anger. These are all part of the show. And if I contemplate that every day and I remind myself, then when those things happen, it's no longer taken so personally. It's not like, what the hell, man? This shouldn't be happening. It's no, of course this is happening. This is how it goes in this life. The problem is we can go for long periods of time where things go our way. We can get our way just enough. We can find comfort just enough to believe that we can have it forever. That's the problem. But once you know, you know. And once you allow yourself to accept that, that's when things really change. But that comes from that change in perception. So Milarepa seeing the cave demons as they shouldn't be here. They're not supposed to be here. It's not supposed to be like this. To finally saying, you could be here too. It's normal for demons to raid caves. But it really makes a big difference. Like that saying, don't see, your difficulties as an obstacle to the path, but see them as the path itself. Your suffering is the path. The life you're living now with all its difficulties, its pain, its struggles, that is your path. There's nothing separate from it. It's not like I got to clean these detours up and then I'll walk the path. You're walking it. This is it. There's nothing else. These are the ingredients that you have to work with. So start working with them. That's it. So simple. We make things so much harder. I think it's a Taoist saying, the way is easy, big W, capital W, the way. The way is easy for those who don't pick or choose, for those with no preferences. Imagine going through your day, not holding on to any preferences, not preferring it be sunny versus rainy, not preferring to feel happy over sad, not preferring an easy day over a hard day, but just meeting life, meeting the truth, relating directly. and responding appropriately to whatever happens, whether it feels good or not, whether it's part of the plan or not. We can live this way. That's what this practice is about. So, enough chit chat. Let's do some sitting. Let's try N.A.R.F.I.K in action. This is going to be fun. This is the first time I did a N.A.R.F.I.K meditation. All right, I'm going crazy in my room by myself on camera. It's great. No, no, I'm excited for this. So find a comfortable seated position, hands on the knees or in the lap, sit up tall, close the eyes. Let's get it going. So the very first thing we want to do is notice. Notice what's happening. Notice what you hear. Notice what you're feeling. Notice what your mind is doing, what your breathing is like, what mood is present, what emotions are swimming around. See if you can experience everything that's happening right now. And then from this place of noticing, we allow what we're noticing. We allow it to be that way. We let go of preferences and just let things be as they are. So if there's aches in the body, we allow the aches. If the mind is agitated, we allow the agitation. If there are noises all around, we allow ourselves to hear them. If there's an emotion, we allow ourselves to feel that way. And just see what that's like to allow, to let things be the way they are. And we move to the R, relax. You can relax by breathing deeply into the belly and by consciously softening the body from head to toe. Just inviting a sense of ease into the body. Even if it's unpleasant, soften into it anyway. When we get to the F, feel. So, from this place of allowing, of relaxing, we just feel what's here in the body. The buzzing, the tingling, the pulsing, the stabbing, the achiness, the stiffness, the looseness, the contractions, the letting go. Feeling it all in a relaxed and receptive way. And as we're feeling, we begin to investigate the I. Just seeing clearly the laws that govern our hearts and mind. What's true about this body and mind? What's true about our feelings and thoughts? But to become curious and investigate, is this really who I am? Am I these changing conditions, or am I something else, something deeper? Especially if there's something present right now, like anxiety or certain thought pattern that's repeating itself. Think to yourself or contemplate, look, am I this anxiety, or am I the awareness that knows anxieties arising? Am I the worried mind, the planning mind, or am I the awareness that recognizes planning mind, worried? And try to see the arising of these things, but also the ending. The worried mind eventually stops worrying. Do you disappear? If that was who you are, wouldn't you go with it? Same with the anxiety, with the grief, with the anger. Again, no different than the rain, the weather. I'm not the clouds, so when they disappear, I don't disappear. I'm not my anger or my grief, because when they disappear, I don't disappear. Who am I? And then finally, we move to the K, kindness. Whatever you're feeling now, find a way to open your heart to others. So if you're feeling good, you're feeling relaxed, then send that out to everybody. May everybody feel this way. May I share this feeling with everyone. May I give it away. And if you're feeling some form of suffering, may I breathe in this suffering to free everybody from it. And may I send us all relief. Breathing in, I receive it. Breathing out, I send out the ease. I send out the nourishment. And then once you go through the whole acronym, then you can just be there, doing nothing, accomplishing nothing, but just resting here with things as they are. From here, we can take a nice deep breath together, breathing in through the nose, out the mouth. Very slowly, start to move a little bit. When you feel ready, you can just gently open the eyes. So that was a longer version of N.A.R.F.I.K. Notice, allow, relax, feel, investigate, and then kindness, adding that compassion and kindness, sending it out. So you might not have been experiencing your inner demons right now while you were sitting here, but really that is intended for that. So next time you're triggered, next time you're hooked, try to remember this. Try it out. I create these things and I share these things so you actually do them, because that's what's going to change your relationship to those things. Actually practicing, showing up and doing it, showing up and doing it over and over and over again. And things start to slowly change, slowly unfreeze and melt away. So try it out. Had to talk about demons on Halloween. So it worked out. But thank you guys so much for showing up or for watching this at a later time. I really appreciate all you guys and your practice. And I hope that you continue on your path and that you connect more and more with a deeper sense of ease, a profound okayness that can get you through your life and that can help you help other people get through theirs. So thank you. And I will see you guys next week live this time, hopefully. And that's it. Take care.